The lodge stood as an old sentry in the dark, ominous woods, having seen endless seasons come and go. Every wind whisper made its weathered wood squeak, and its windows shook as if the dead were yearning for freedom. 5 friends had come for a weekend of relaxation deep within the forests. They had no idea the cabin was hiding more sinister things than the night outside. The gang gathered around the sputtering fireplace as the sun began to drop and cast long shadows across the woodland floor, their faces lit by the flickering flames. In addition to Lisa, the perpetually curious artist who found beauty in every spooky corner, Peter, the introspective philosopher with a penchant for the unknown, and Sarah, the cautious member who, though well-liked, always seemed to linger on the periphery of their collective consciousness. Jane was quiet and reserved, but was always looking for adventure. With each hour that passed, the cabin's disturbing aura intensified as the gathering told ghost stories, their voices resonating through the old wood. Knowing that their comfortable mattresses were just upstairs gave them comfort while they chuckled at their anxieties. The wind howled like a bereaved spirit in the distance, and the shadows danced with ominous joy. The first night went off without a hitch, but the real horrors lay ahead. The friends woke up as daylight began, sluggish and confused. The first person to notice something was Mark. In the corridor, he stumbled upon a mirror and instantly froze, his blood freezing. His reflection had a terrible, evil grin and shone crazy in his eyes. Mark briefly thought he did not recognize the man in the mirror. Before the image vanished, began to doubt his sanity. The feeling of worry descended upon them as the day went on like a heavy, oppressive cloud. Sarah, who is always practical, dismissed it as a light-related illusion or exhaustion. However, the cabin had a way of penetrating the subconscious and sowing paranoia in the brains of the gullible, where it would grow like a black tendril. Mark, who is often the life of the party, had changed and was now grumpy and aloof, gazing into the darkness of the woods. As Lisa struggled to portray the interior of the cottage, her shaking hands made her sketches look twisted and hideous. The philosopher Peter shut himself in his chamber and lost himself in concentration as he pondered the evil energy that infiltrated the very walls. Jane had vanished silently into the woods, going unobserved. The friends gathered in the dimly lighted living room as the sun again sank. Mark's attitude had gotten worse. He had become more agitated and had started to mutter strange, unclear things. Lisa's drawings had taken a sinister turn, showing hideous supernatural monsters lurking in the cabin's crevices. Then Jane came back, looking erratic and unput-downable. Her eyes were like empty pools as she entered with a lifeless expression. The others felt a chill of foreboding upon her arrival. They were aware that something was very wrong. The friends met once more that evening as the fireplace crackled. Mark's eyes flashed with a wild sparkle as he became insane. He muttered something about dark rites and ancient spirits. The dread engulfed them like an iron veil, while the others exchanged anxious glances. Mark suddenly and without warning leapt towards Peter while screaming hysterically. As Peter struggled to control his companion, the room descended into mayhem. Sarah and Lisa had joined the fight, their shouts mingled with Mark's insane laughing. Jane was lurking in the shadows, watching the fighting with a strange detachedness. Mark's strength during the conflict appeared unearthly, as though an evil entity controlled him. In a fit of abnormal energy, he overpowered his friends and reached for a nearby poker from the fireplace. He smacked Peter in the head in a painful blur, and the only sound in the room was the crackling fire. The brutal reality of their horror was painted throughout the room as Peter's lifeless body fell to the floor. Mark, who was covered in blood, gave his friends a chillingly composed look. But the lunacy eventually left him just as quickly as it had arrived. His eyes widened as he saw his friend's lifeless form, and he dropped the poker in fear. The others were terrified and shaking, unable to fathom what had happened. Mark could only stutter in disbelief as his thoughts came back to him. Jane, watching the violence in silence, came out of the shadows. Once more with empty eyes, she muttered in a voice that chilled their bones. It had to be done. He was corrupted. The rest of the night was spent in a state of immobility as the friends were haunted by the evil spirit that had taken possession of Mark. They awoke as dawn was breaking, their recollections of the previous night fuzzy and disjointed, as if trapped in an unsettling dream. The cabin stood still, the secrets of its past hidden deep beneath its weathered planks. The friends departed the cottage in the woods with their innocence gone and the evil truth of that location deeply ingrained in their souls, eternally damaged by the atrocities they had witnessed. The ghosts who had lived there were still there, watching and waiting as the deep forest recovered its secrets. The cabin stood watch like a menacing sentinel.